computer. Okay, so welcome. We are here to go into Parshat Vayechi, and it's not lost on me that we're gathering on New Year's Eve. And as we were just talking about before we hit the record button, that we are at the end of something and the beginning of something new. And in these moments, where we're really called to mark time. In the Jewish calendar, we're constantly being called to mark time and to align with time and to know where we're at and what the relevance of these moments are. And so, whilst it's not a Jewish holiday, it is a holiday for humanity, and we're part of humanity. And it is a new beginning of sorts. And so, I think when there is such a collective experience taking place, we're obviously, of course, part of that, and I think there's definitely value and merit to connecting to that. I think there's this collective consciousness of people trying to kind of wrap something up, take count before moving forward with new hopes and dreams and visions for the year ahead. And so really Vayechi is the last parasha of the book of Bereshit. And so the fact that we're learning about the last parasha of the book of Bereshit on the last night of the solar year, I think reinforces even more this idea of bringing things to a close in order to begin something new. As the Zohar teaches, beginnings and endings are wedged into each other. The beginning is wedged into the ending and vice versa. And so just as with when we're at the end of a month, we're about to begin a new month, we're able to really take like the koach of that last month and move us forward. So we're still in many ways connected to Hanukkah, to the light of Hanukkah and the light of Kislev, even though we really are making our way deep into Tevet. And we'll see there's a lot of Tevet themes that are really present also in the Parsha. Okay, so Vayechi. I think we're going to just read through Rav Pinson's short chapter where he gives an overview of the theme Panoramic Vision, which is what he says is the energy of this week's Parsha, of the ability to look at our lives, to look back specifically, but to look at our lives and sense a deeper meaning. Not to judge our lives, not to understand the details of our lives, but to get this broader sense that we're part of a bigger process on a collective level, but also on an individual level. So he starts by saying that the Torah reading speaks of Yaakov's final years of life, 17 years that he spends reunited with his family, and the blessings and encouragement he bestows upon them for the future. So the reading opens with the words, and Yaakov lived in the land of Egypt for 17 years, and Yaakov's days, the years of his life, were 7 years and 40 and 100 years. So I'm just going to admit. So in simpler terms, he lived to the age of 147. Yet the way the verse says 7 years and 40 and 100 should draw our attention. In most cultures in history, the digits in numeral notation progress from the largest unit to the smallest. This is the way the Torah also usually enumerates years. For example, when speaking of the years of Sarah at the time of her demise, the Torah says she was 100 years, 20 years, and 7 years. Similarly, when speaking of Abraham, he was 170 and 5. So why, when saying about Yaakov Avinu, does it move from the smaller to the larger unit? So he says that another interesting detail to observe is basically that the Torah uses the name Yisrael instead of Yaakov. And so he's curious, why would there be a sudden switch of name from Yaakov to Yisrael, right? If we remember a few parashiot ago, Yaakov Avinu, he wrestled with a being. We don't know whether it was an angel, whether it was his shadow side, what. But at the end of this wrestling, he asked for a blessing, and the blessing that he got was this revelation of his higher name, of Yisrael. So he then goes on to say that the term for 100 years in the lifespan of Sarah, Abraham, and Yaakov are written in the singular, 100 year. And so what is the significance of that? So he goes on to tell us that years in the plural refers to the countless intricate details and ups and downs in a person's life. Year in the singular refers to the singular overall picture of one's life. So their overarching goal, trajectory, or their raison d'etre, their reason for being. Abraham, for example, experienced a clear divine nevuah, prophecy, telling him, Lech lecha, go on a journey from your homeland to the land that I will show you. This initiated him in the overall direction of his life, whereas he then needed to live out all the details of that direction. I was just talking about this with a friend who's getting married soon in the context of conviction. And that when Abraham began that journey, he didn't know what it would entail. He had no idea what kind of challenges he'd be facing, nothing. But he went. And why did he go? Because he knew who he was walking with. And so he had this conviction and the bravery and the courage to go forth into the unknown because he knew who was by his side, who was with him, our source. And as such, when we're in our relationships, especially in marriage, we have no idea what the future will hold for us, but we know who we've chosen and we know why we chose them. So that's always a very grounding exercise within relationship, to spend some time thinking and reconnecting with those essential points that drew us to our partners and inspired us to go on that journey with them. So he goes on to say that it makes sense. It makes sense that one would first have a revelation of their general trajectory and then begin working out the practical details of getting there. Yet Yaakov, for the most part, experiences prophecy in the form of a dream, not like the crystal clear prophecy of Abraham. The defining quality of a dream, even a prophetic one, is unclarity. Even a prophetic dream could have some amount of untruth woven into it. At the beginning of Yaakov's journey, he goes to sleep and dreams of a depiction of ups and downs, of details. Only after many years of living in the details, being away from home, marrying, having children, and becoming a wealthy man, at last the angel of Hashem comes to him and tells him a clear prophecy about his journey. It's time to go back home, to the land of your birth. Throughout his life, Yaakov is repeatedly taken by surprise. This begins with taking the blessings from Esav, his brother, and suddenly needing to flee, being tricked into marrying the sister of the woman he loves, and finally experiencing the disappearance of his beloved son, Yosef. Yaakov wished to live at ease, but this trouble in connection with Yosef, kafatz alav, it jumped on him, or better translation, it suddenly came upon him as if by surprise. Never knowing what move to take next, he lives in a space of disjointed details. Why? Because he's constantly reacting to the situations in his life, and that so much is happening and it needs a different reaction or a different choice. When Yaakov goes away from home, he accidentally encounters this space. Pega is using the word for encountered. It also means in modern Hebrew strike, like to be hit. So in other words, he's struck or surprised when the sun suddenly sets. And the same word means tefillah, specifically a type of tefillah when a person has suddenly encountered darkness. So let's remember we're in the month of Tevet. It's the darkest, coldest month of the year. And one of the main themes this month is being able to be in the darkness whilst connected to the light. So whilst we might not feel the light or see the light, we can intuit that it's present in some way that we may not or are not meant to be understanding right now, but we trust that it's there. So Yaakov, who wanders amongst the pratim, the details of his life, he's engaged in finding HaKadosh Baruch Hu, in finding source and finding creator within the darkness and seemingly disjointed details. Within the pega, within the sudden surprises, he quickly develops the ability to create tefillah, prayer, and to connect to HaKadosh Baruch Hu even in darkness and unclarity. And he gives us that ability that when we're faced with darkness or a lack of clarity, that we're able to turn that into prayer. Yet, the final 17 years of his life, the years at the end of his life, are his best years, illustrated by the fact that 17 is the numerical value, it's the gematria of the word tov, good. Yaakov's entire family is by then united and living in peace, unlike the family of his father or grandfather, from whom conflicting nations emerged, which is really, really valuable to hold that in mind, that up until this point in the story, there has not been peace in the home. There hasn't been unity and harmony within the family structure, or from the very beginning of time. But with Yaakov's family, and this is just as we're ending the book of Bereshit, which is the book of relationships, it's the book of all those beginning relationships. And just as it's about to end, we end with Yaakov's family, with the descendants of Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov united together, harmonious, listening to their father. So he goes on to say that all of his descendants, all of Yaakov's descendants, are part of Klal Yisrael, a part of the nation of Israel, the singular nation of Israel. Indeed, in these final years, he is able to recognize the patterns of his journey. He sees the intent of each step along the way, realizing the bigger picture. It becomes clear to him that all the details of his life were bringing him to this culminating state of unity and clarity, right? A state that couldn't have been existed had the family not gone through everything that they've gone through. Thus, at the end of his life, and in retrospect, he sees the overall unity and coherence of his life. He's moved from years to year, from the details to the general, to the klali, from the minute details of 7 years and 40 years to the singular 100 year. Similarly, his name Yaakov is related to the word heal and also trickery, while his name Yisrael is connected to the word sar, prince or master. Yisrael also has the letters of the word rosh, head. When the Torah calls him Yaakov, it refers to his life on the level of the heel, the lower perspective of the multiple details and trickery, the unexpected twists and turns. When the Torah calls him Yisrael, it refers to his life on the level of mastery, the higher perspective of the unitive vision and clarity of the head. Yisrael is the idea of klal, of generality, while Yaakov is the idea of pratim, details. Yisrael is his life of vision, joy, soul, and purpose. Yaakov is his life of constriction and anguish. Okay, I'm not going to read all the footnotes, but I have sent pictures of this in the WhatsApp group, so you're welcome to dive in yourselves. Just for brevity to get through it. We'll keep going. So during his life, he's called Yaakov, and he lives as Yaakov. But when the Torah says he is about to pass on, it uses the name Yisrael, meaning he passes on in the state of Yisrael. He has realized the general, unified, divine intent within the unfolding of his life. This is why before he passes on, he tells his children to gather, to unify. Yaakov tells Pharaoh, when he arrives in Egypt as a 130-year-old, the days of my life are me'at v'ra'im, little and ra. The first 130 years of his life were lived in the place of ra, bad, as in broken, disjointed details. And the remaining 17 years of his life in Egypt are tov, good. So Ra is the first 130 years and Tov the final 17 years. Ra is connected to the word re'u'ah, which is broken and unstable. I'm also conscious it sounds like re'e'ah, like seeing as well, which is connected to the eye, which is the ayin is the letter of the month of Tevet. And in the language of Chazal, our sages, re'u'ah means uncertain. Tov also means a condition of wholeness. So towards the end of Yaakov's life, all the pieces of Ra come together in Tov, in wholeness. His first 130 years of life are a parallel and a tikkun for the 130 years in which Adam was separated from Chava after they ate from the tree of separation, the tree of knowledge of Tov and Ra, which I hadn't heard of before. Yaakov needed to serve Hashem within broken relationships with his older brother Esav, his father-in-law, and then among his sons. Finally, all this familial separation and Ra resolved into the Tov of life. So it was only really through living through all those broken relationships, bringing his prayer, bringing his awareness into it, connecting it back to God, bringing a prayer from that deep place. And then at the end of his life, when he finally is able to settle in peace together with his family, can he then look back and enjoy the gift, the blessing of hindsight. So we can have ourselves in our own lives, big picture and small picture vision. Very often we find ourselves stuck in the small picture, right? We get stuck in the details. The details become so suffocating because we place, I'm just speaking on a personal level, we place so much importance on the details. Well, he said that and she said this, and we can get so stuck in there that it becomes so constricting that we don't even realize that we're stuck there. We don't even realize in that point that our higher consciousness, our ability to connect with the bigger picture, it's in galut, it's in exile. It's not present in those moments where we are choking on the details. So we see only the immediate details of our story. And I think that's so connected. It's this word immediacy, like it's this, I have to do it now. I want it now. I want this change now. Why hasn't it happened by now? Like it's all this insistence on controlling the situations that often ends up generating so much frustration and pain because those situations aren't really in our control. Okay, I'm just going to admit Sapir. Hi, Sapir. Okay, so we only see the immediate details of our story, what's currently happening to us, what we are involved with at this moment, or our emotional state at this time. We see the trees and not the forest, as it were. It is possible to get so bogged down by the small picture vision of life that we veer off course and forget the big picture vision. We lose ourselves in minutae. That person offends me. I'm feeling overwhelmed. I'm struggling with my studies. It's only when looking backwards that we catch a glimpse of the bigger picture. We live forward, but only understand backward. I think I need to have on a t-shirt or a mug somewhere. So this idea that yes, that as we're moving through our lives, the tendency that we have, our most human tendency, our most animalistic tendency is to just deal with the like, what's going on now? Am I safe? Am I not? Am I hungry? How are my needs being met or satisfied or not? And then we get absorbed by the answers to those questions, which lead us on to more questions, which lead us on to more, and we're lost. And what Rav Pinson is saying, how I'm understanding it, and how I'm understanding this koach, this force, this energy that is available to us this month, as a result of Yaakov Avinu living through this in this week's Parsha, in this week's experience, his ability to be grounded with his family, feeling connected, feeling in place, feeling safe, is he then able to look backwards and see the meaning of all those different challenging relationships and things that happened to him. And he's able to accept that it all was meant to be. So I think what we're really able to do in this week is to get a sense of that bigger picture in our lives, to be able to create some more space between us and the minutiae of our lives, to be able to take some big breaths in those spaces and perhaps intuit what our soul's work is through our lifetime. What are the things that keep coming up for us, to really cultivate this understanding that the challenges in our lives and the repetitive patterns in our lives and behaviors in our lives aren't punishments, aren't consequences of us being bad or doing something wrong, more that they are lessons, they're teachers. They're here to reveal something for us. And part of our work in this week is to take a big step back to get much more perspective so that things can be revealed to us, so that we can witness rather than judge, rather than really trying to understand every single thing and make sense of it all. That's not Tevet work at all. That's not the Tevet work. Tevet work, yes, there's an element of judgment in Tevet. It is. It's one of Esav's months. It's a month of Din. We also have the tribe of Dan, right, Abby? We do. We have the tribe of Dan this month, which means judgment. But the judging that we're meant to be doing this month, it's simply to discern, to really try and get a sense of like, is this good for me or not? Do I want this or not? Rather than going in there with full harsh judgment, we're really invited this month to look very compassionately at our lives and look very compassionately at the people in our lives and the relationship in our lives, and appreciate or deepen this understanding and this awareness that whatever is coming up within those dynamics and whatever is coming up within the day-to-day and the minutiae, it's purposeful and it has lessons for me, and it's helping me develop and refine a certain element of my characteristics that I'm here to work on in this lifetime. So before we go on to the next part of Rav Pinson's writings, where he digs a bit deeper into this theme of big picture vision, I thought we'd just take a few moments just to go in and settle. We didn't do it at the beginning, but I think it's worthwhile us doing it now. Sorry if the dog's barking is driving everyone else mad. Can you guys hear it as much as me? All right, so when you're ready, get comfy in your seat. And just invite you to close your eyes and just take a few deep breaths at your own pace, time, in your own way. And while you're doing that, just feel the seat supporting you. Invite your body to relax and loosen, your shoulders to drop. With each exhale, just Bring more relaxation, more release into your face and shoulders. And allow a sense of relaxation to move down your body, just to trickle down gently, with ease. And we're just seeking presence. If your mind wants to drift, just come back to your breath. And I want you to imagine that you are standing on the edge of a cliff, looking out over the most magnificent vista. You can feel the sun on your face, a gentle breeze. As you look out in front of you, there's a feeling of spaciousness, of peace, and awe, the magnificence of this world that we are privileged to live in. And take a moment to invite in a sense of gratitude. Sense of wonder. And as you look out in front of you, you can notice that there's changes in the landscape. There are ridges and mountains. There's paths in all different colors. You're just witnessing, present. You're not seeking to look at the details. You don't even need to know where you are. Open to a feeling of groundedness, standing steady and strong. Invite in a sensation of possibility, the great unknown. And let's land in a feeling of trust and strength. We're here in this life with a purpose for a reason. We trust it will be revealed. With that, I invite you to place your left and then your right hand onto your heart. To take 3 big exhales with this feeling of trust and possibility and openness. And when you're ready, you can come back into the space. Okay, so when you're ready, you can come back. And now that we've grounded ourselves and opened ourselves, we are in essence allowing ourselves to take a step back from all the details of our lives, to detach, to create more space. I think I must say the word space about 50 times a day. Just this real need and desire for spaciousness, the ability to just be present and to witness, because that's our role this week. We're witnessing our lives. We don't need to understand it. We definitely don't need to know all the details. And we definitely don't need to feel the stress of any kind of immediacy or pressure to act Any particulars we're really seeking this week to just be present in a trusting, open, witnessing way? Okay. All right. So Rav Pinson opens his section on the energy of the week, this big picture vision, by saying that this week's reading infuses us with the power and the vision to observe the big picture of life, to attain clarity of vision and the ability to step back from the details and recognize all our experiences as integral parts of a whole. I think the word recognize is really important there. Right? We're really called to be present and pay attention. But I don't think he's asking us to burrow away and try and find all the meetings and try and make understanding of everything. It's not a detailed based invitation. It's much more of a stepping back and a recognizing. So this way, we can keep sight of our greater goals, our purpose and life trajectory, and free ourselves if we have been bogged down by the minutiae. So then he asks us to look back over your entire life until now as one greater whole. To recognize that even the Ra in the past was driving you to greater Tov, and see also all the mitzvahs, all the kind deeds, prayers, and studies you have engaged, and understand the hidden power of those deeds to bring tikkun, to bring a fixing, to bring a healing, to bring realignment to you and your family, and to bring the world a step closer to its ultimate unified state. So this was actually something that we were saying, that Daniela and I were saying at the beginning. I don't know if we pressed record yet, but the importance of acknowledging, recognizing, and calling out all the good that you have done. And I'm sure it is a lot. All the things that you've achieved, all the goals that you had, that you set, that you managed to achieve, that you managed to achieve. And as we're doing so, when we're able to bring that level of like recognition and awareness, I think it makes the whole thing so much more impactful. Not just the impact that it can have on the world in a spiritual sense, but also the way that it can impact us and inspire us to keep moving, to keep taking those steps forward, to keep making those brave choices. And so he says that the practice of this week is that we should recognize the overarching theme of our life. So with that in mind, I thought that we could do a little writing activity. How's everyone feeling about that? Or if you're not feeling like journaling, we can discuss. So maybe should we take a little vote? We can do that on Zoom, can't we? Let's see if I remember how. Does anyone want to unmute themselves and tell me if you'd rather journal? Hey, Abby.
I vote journal.
Yeah, you vote journal. Does anybody?
But I'm cool with also talking. I also missed the first half of the class, so
I don't think you missed so much. Like you really just spoke about that point a lot. At the beginning of the class, he talks quite a lot about the way that the Torah tells us how old Yaakov was. It breaks it down, going from the smallest number to the biggest, whereas normally it's the other way around. The question was why. And he takes from that this idea that because the Torah used the word Chana rather than the plural, it used the singular. What it's essentially telling us is that when you use the singular, you're looking at the like collective experience rather than all of the little details. And so Yaakov's now at a stage of his life where he gets 17 blissful years surrounded by his family. Like he's finally got that peace, that shalva that we were talking about a few weeks ago. 17 is the gematria for Tov, and that these were the years where he really was able to, I guess you could say, like, see the fruits of his labors, like to put the pieces all together and to accept and understand that everything that happened to him, that all of these challenges and difficult relationships were all leading him to this point that he could never have got to had he not gone through everything that he'd been through, and had his children not been through everything that they'd been through. And then he says, that the Torah uses the word Yisrael at the end of his life. And why? Because Yisrael is referring to, his higher consciousness, that higher expression of self. Not, Yaakov's connected to the heel, which is connected to like this lowly earth physical reality where it's all about like the details, and it's like whereas Israel is the collective, and so I think this is one of the modes of operating that we're being asked to get into this one. And I think it's also really just a very Tevet theme, of just connecting to the light and the darkness, like intuiting, sensing that it's there and that you might not see it, feel it, or understand what's happening right now, but that it's all, part of that bigger picture. All right, so does everyone have a pen? I don't, but I'll get one. Okay, so I've got a few questions here. So we can ask ourselves essentially, okay, I've got some really nice notes here that I'm gonna read through a little bit. So what we are striving for is not necessarily clarity about the future. Panoramic vision is not necessarily clarity about the future, but it is clarity about meaning. And it emerges when we're able to widen our perspective. And so we get to reframe. We get to reframe, like we said before, these patterns, these repetitive behaviors, these things that keep happening to me are teachers. They're here with lessons. They're not punishments. The struggles that I'm facing, they are shaping forces in my life. They're not detours. They are meant to be something that I move through and grow through. And then there are central themes that essentially our soul is committed to exploring. And for each of us, that's different. But that could look like themes like learning to trust, learning to receive, to use our voice, to soften our control, stay present in love, to choose ourselves, to choose compassion, to be giving. These are the kind of themes. Excuse me, I just need to deal with the dog 1 second. Okay. All right, so here is some I've got a couple of questions. Shall I share them all and everyone can choose which one? I've got 3 questions. Yeah, I see some nodding. Okay, so question number 1, a journaling prompt, as we're trying to discover what our soul theme is. So imagine you're 80 years old and looking back at your life with compassion. What do you see repeating? That's 1 prompt. Number 2, what question has life kept asking you through your relationships, work, family, health, or faith?
Could you say that again?
What question has life kept asking you through relationships, work, family, health, or faith? And the last one, what quality is life continuously inviting you to develop, even when you resist? All right, so let's see. It's now five
Wait,
past nine. Should we take 10,
yeah.
take till quarter past? Hi, Rebecca.
Hi,
Rivka.
could you repeat the last one also? I'm writing them all
Yeah.
down.
The
Thank
last
you.
question was, what quality is life continuously inviting you to develop, even when you resist? It's probably especially when you resist.
The first question,
Mhm.
you said, imagine I'm 80 years old looking back with compassion. What do I see repeating itself?
Yeah.
Like, is that supposed to be like good things or like bad habits or like,
I imagine we're looking more at the like more sort of challenging aspects that are
okay, so
repeating
like they're
themselves in our lives. So maybe it's the same like relationship dynamic or challenges at work or okay. Right. So I think let's take the next 8 minutes. What do you think? Is that enough? 10 minutes? 8 minutes? And I just want to invite you to like free flow. Don't edit yourselves. Don't judge. Just write. Okay. I'm going to put a timer on. Maybe some music. Let's see if I can figure it out.
you want to know how to put music on?
Sure.
So like you press play from your computer, but then you go to share. You click on the share button and you click advanced, and then there's an option that says share computer audio or something like that. Do you see it?
Where's Chef?
Um, it worked.
Oh, you can hear it?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to put something a bit more chill on.
Did you do that with a share computer audio thing? Because it's going in and out. Or is it just playing from your
Oh, I
computer?
just played it on my computer that I heard
Oh,
about.
so it's not like fully picking up the sound, but
Okay.
if you do
I'm going to look for Chef.
that advanced share, then it'll like we'll hear what you hear through your
Not
computer.
exactly chill music either. I can't see the chef. Anyway, Lonora, I think I'll just make it silent. You can just write in silence. There's 1 more minute left on the timer. Okay, when you're ready, you can finish up. You can have another minute or so if you need. Is everyone finished? So if anyone is open to sharing, it would be wonderful to hear what anyone has to say. And obviously, I mean, I know it goes without saying, but just to reiterate that when we do have these moments where we share, that there's no judging or criticizing, just listening, talking from the I, no interruptions, and yeah, I think as a group we're just looking really to receive and to, at this point at least, to see I want to say trends, but that's not the right word at all. Like patterns, if somebody wants reflection. But... So how is that journaling prompt for you guys? Do you want to all unmute yourselves? Can I unmute everybody? Let's see.
The first question was hard because I felt like
I'll just ask you each to unmute. I don't think I can.
so, wait, is it open discussion now?
Anyone up for sharing?
So the first question was hard to answer because I didn't want to like admit or
Wait,
think
Abby, are you
about.
speaking? Because I can see your mouth
Yeah.
moving, but I can't hear anything. Wait,
Oh,
am I on the
really? Can
volume
anyone
of
else hear
myself?
me?
Yes,
I had my sound down.
I can hear you.
Oh, got it. Did you hear that music playing the whole time?
No.
Oh, okay. All right. Sorry, Abby, you were saying something.
Oh, I was saying like the first one was hard to answer because I like thinking about like patterns of challenges, but like I didn't want to think that like I'm 80 still like these same things. And I'm like, well, it could be this. Well, then I was like, well, I hope it's not this or like, you know. So that was kind of like interesting.
Yeah, I feel like I did a similar thing where I like really resisted whatever was trying to come up. Um, yeah, it was hard for me to like really get into like a proper free flow with the answer. I did the first one. Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to spend more time on it.
I had something that,
Yeah.
can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay, so I tried to answer the second one. And it was, what question does your life keep asking you? And I wrote many questions dealing why. Why don't I recognize boundaries? Why do I have a difficult time saying no to others? Why do I put up with negativism? Why do I not feel comfortable with financial issues? And why am I not more supportive of myself? And why do I need to, I always have this feeling I'm super strong, so I'm supposed to be able to give to other people, but I need to concentrate. I've reached a point in time, maybe it's with age, that I just realize enough is enough. Like, you just get drained from all this giving for so many years. So I'm trying to find this balance of feeling good about being nice to myself and comfortable. So it has a lot to do with the space and comfort and love without judgment. Just, I can put myself first.
Mhm.
I don't come from the same generation. I'm not from the me generation. I'm from the giving and changing the world generation. So I need to tweak myself.
Sounds like worthwhile work. I also
Yeah,
think as women, like we naturally slot into this giving role, and
right. And to be
perhaps
the good person.
mhm, yeah, be the
But I think
good
my
thing.
generation, it was significantly worse. It was post-Holocaust, so you're supposed to change the world. And obviously we didn't succeed.
No pressure.
Yeah, we didn't succeed. So many people were in like caretaking jobs, helping other people. That was right after the Holocaust.
Mhm.
And then where does it leave you, especially now when the world is anti-Semitic all over again? You like look at it and say, why? We tried, did we succeed? What's happening? So it's interesting because we always hear the younger generation is more the me generation. And they say that in a negative way, but maybe it's really positive in many ways. I don't know. The connection between the individual, I really believe we have to support the community. It's very important not to be just self-centered. But I think my generation is a little extreme in the opposite direction.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we're all kind of relearning in our own ways and trying to find ways to bring balance. It's going to look different for each of us.
Yeah, so what you said about space and looking at a distance, really great for me. Thank you.
Amazing. Good. I'm glad. Thanks for sharing. Daniela, are you open to sharing anything?
My one I did one for each one, but the most one that stuck out was um what is life what question has life been asking me? And I said, why do I keep having to experience a vessel expansion through pain or challenges? Then after they happen, I seem to be okay with it and resilient and go, oh, great, I've reached the next level. Like, why is it like that?
Mm.
Why can't it just be like, okay, we're going to expand now. It's going to be great. We're going to, get into some learning and hang around some people and it's going to be all good. And then no, as soon as you desire this new level, it's like your whole world around you just goes into absolute crazy stuff, unexpected stuff. I mean, not every time, but just I think I've noticed in my life that when I really am sensing something, it's like things just go into challenges or some kind of restriction comes in. And I go, okay, let's go. Let's go through it. And then I'm okay. Like, is that what we're meant to do? Is that how it's supposed to be? Maybe it's different for everybody else. I don't know. Maybe that's my path. Maybe that's what I don't know. Like, is there a process or is it different for everybody? Is everyone given some kind of portion of, here's your challenge? I don't know.
So, I mean, I definitely don't have all the answers. What I will say, though, is that I don't think it's just you. I think that it seems at least you learn with Sarah Udit, right? You said you learn with Sarah Udit.
Yes.
So, right, she says that, up until this far, thereabouts, the way that we grow is through suffering. Like that's just the mechanism for growth. And as sentient beings, the only thing that really forces us to grow is when we feel the squeeze, right? Like the example of the crab or the lobster, right? That when the shell gets too tight and it gets uncomfortable, that's the only point that they're ready to be vulnerable and go out into the world and look for a new shell. And so it's challenges that really wake us up and push us out of our comfort zone into reaching beyond. But as Sarah Yudit says, that with Geula, with the redemption, the revelation of God's oneness, that it will be growth through joy. And as the Rebbe says, we're all ready, like everything's ready. So, maybe we can in some way make that commitment to growing through joy. And I think that ties a little bit into what we were saying at the beginning and just recently about, when we do something good, call it out, speak it out, acknowledge it, enjoy the satisfaction that you've done that thing,
Yeah.
And that's ways to see how we are growing through more positive things. But yeah, I hear you. It's those challenges that just come and, like kafatzala, they come out of nowhere.
Nowhere. Yeah, you're right. And I also feel too, and I don't know if we're in this coming era of women. I'm not saying all women must all come together in some big community, but I'm saying circles of women coming to talk openly about the reality of the challenges, I think is important.
Yeah.
Because I think we've silenced ourselves, one, because of fear of judgment, two, competitiveness, three, and I don't know, maybe it's just me, but it's so important that we express the good things that are happening for us as women in our life without feeling that, oh, I've said too much, or I wonder how everyone else feels if I say this. Where is that place where we can all come and talk about these things? I mean, you're doing it, I know that, but I'm talking on a bigger scale. Like something's going on, something needs to happen where we can be really defining about these subject matters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think in many ways they are, I think in many ways they are. And I think just speaking from a personal place, within your own community, within your own circles is the place to create these safe spaces. Because I think a woman, human beings, but especially, as a woman, for me personally, I can't speak the truth unless I feel safe. And
yes,
right, I think there's factors that have to be in place, but connecting with the women, in your lives, or maybe they're not yet in your lives, but they're living close to your house, or and looking for these ways to connect. I do think they're out there much more so than when we were younger, and more and more and more it's happening. But something that's interesting is you spoke about, using your voice. We were talking at our Rosh Chodesh Tevet class how the month of Tevet is Malchut, and Malchut, one of the expressions of Malchut is speech.
Yeah.
And it's really something to be paying attention to this month, like when to speak, when not to speak. It's actually a really good month to try and be a little bit more silent, and but there's a lot of power and healing in using our voices for sure. I definitely have experienced that in my life in a pretty strong way. But yeah, I think as we're learning, tonight, it's not about the details, and it's also not necessarily even about the why. I think it's more about what, not why am I always, or why is this happening? Like, what is this asking from me? What
is this
teaching to me? What is this bringing into my life? Or what is this asking me to create more space between, I think we'll get more helpful answers to the what's than the whys.
That's really good.
We're not privy to that information. We're not meant to be. I'm not saying it's not valuable asking the why, for sure. Of course it is. But my sense is with particular work, it's what, what. Yeah, so I think this is the material we're invited to kind of percolate, let it sit with us, see how it reveals itself. Yeah, see how it unfolds. Let me see if my notes.
Thanks.
So I guess before we say goodbye, I've actually got in my notes here, instead of why, it's what. So that has worked for me this morning. And so, yeah, I guess let's just take a moment to, I think, give ourselves a little blessing, right? Because at the end of this week's parasha, Yaakov gathers all his children around him and he gives them the blessing. He gives them their own blessings. Some of them don't seem like blessings, but they are, again, reinforcing this theme of things might not be what they seem in terms of the details and all of the, the little minutiae, but actually that there's a bigger, broader, essential message that's being conveyed to us all the time through all the things in our life. And so, yeah, just like Yisrael gave his sons a bracha, let's end on a blessing for us as we take this wisdom and this information into our week. So when you're ready, you're welcome if you want to close your eyes. I like to have two hands on my heart, first left, then right. Just take a few breaths in and out as we just invite our presence into this moment. And let's sense our collective strength, the vessel that we created all together, bigger than the sum of its parts. And we should be blessed as we move through the rest of our week with clarity of vision. We should be blessed with compassion, to be able to look at the different facets of our life compassionately, and to be able to be in the various relationships in our life with much compassion and trust that these people need to be in our lives. We should be blessed with clarity for the lessons. And a broadened perspective that we can really tune into the overarching themes of our life, of our soul themes, and that we can sense whether we're working towards them or not quite yet. And we should be blessed to know what we need in order to keep moving forward in our lives with grace, patience, trust, purpose, gratitude, and joy. We should all be blessed with a beautiful week, with a gentle week. Don't forget, guys, it's Tevet, so keep your expectations low. If big feelings are coming up, just breathe through. No need to even understand them or speak to them. It's just all about letting things come through us, letting it move through us this month, and developing a good eye so that we can really see the many, many blessings that are very present in our lives. So we should see and feel that in all the lovely ways. Shavua Tov, Kol Tuv, and Happy New Year, happy 2026. It should be very, very healthy for everyone and bring lots of peace into the world, please God.
Amen. Thank you.
Amen.
Pleasure. Bye,
Thank
ladies.
you.
See you all.
Bye.
Nice to see you, Cara.
Nice to see you too. I made it eventually.
You made it.
Bye.
All right, ladies. Bye.
So,